We effectively have a axis of evil which is made up of China, North Korea, Iran, with Russia very clearly as a junior partner to China in that axis. Now, around the world, there are many other autocracies which are at best described as standing on the fence and maybe willing to fall in on the side of what I have called, and I'm not the first one to call it, an axis of evil. So the fact that there may have been more other world leaders attending the recent Victory Day celebrations in Red Square, I don't think we should read anything too much into that.
For the latest Ukrainian drone strikes, in a surprise call with President Trump earlier today, in a post on his Truth social platform, Trump said the call lasted about an hour and 15 minutes, and the leaders discussed Kyiv's audacious weekend drone attack on the long-range Russian bombers. Pope Leo also had a call with the Russian president today as well. Putin told Pope Leo that he was committed to peace, but stressed the need to eliminate the root causes, a shorthand perhaps for the removal of a pro-Western government in Kyiv. Let's speak to Cormac Smith, former special advisor to Ukraine's foreign minister. Cormac, thank you for being with us. What do you expect revenge to mean?
Harold, first of all, good evening and thank you for having me on. Look, revenge is kind of laughable. This is the country, Russia, Putin's Russia, who have been literally committing genocide in Ukraine in an unprovoked and illegal war for 3.5 years, who virtually on a daily basis target civilians with precision munitions launched by the sort of aircraft that this audacious operation went against, and although the numbers are still unsure, destroyed a great number of. So, I mean, I think the fact that Putin talks about revenge, or people talk about revenge, should tell us a little bit more about the Russian mindset than anything else. Much of what Putin does is illegal and constitutes war crimes. What the Ukrainians did in Operation Spider's Web was completely within the rules of war as set out, and we can't know if any civilians were killed or not, but it certainly did not target civilians. It targeted military infrastructure that was being used to murder Ukrainian civilians.
Okay, there's also a sense it's potentially influenced talks in Turkey this week. Is it possible that for all of how audacious it was, how celebrated it was, it has pushed the prospect of peace further away?
No, I don't think it has pushed the prospect of peace further away. The prospect of peace is further away because Putin's demands remain maximalist, and that is effectively the capitulation of Russia. And one of the things they would want is not just to have ceded to them the territory they have already illegally taken, nearly 20% of Ukraine, but they are demanding in their demands that Ukraine withdraw from the 4 oblasts that they partially occupy currently, that back in late 22 they declared forever Russia. So this does not push peace further away. This angers Russia. What we need to understand is Russia will only stop when they are stopped. The Ukrainians understand this. Donald Trump, one, doesn't seem to have any understanding of Ukraine, nor does he seem to care a lot for Ukraine. And I would add to that, he probably has a particular animosity towards Volodymyr Zelensky. None of this helps. Plus the fact he is clearly being played like a fiddle by Vladimir Putin.
Okay. Aside from the call with Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin also spoke to Pope Leo as well today. Putin said that he was committed to peace, etc., as you would imagine him to say. I'm curious about this relationship, and I'm curious about this phone call and what it tells us, Cormac, because it does feel like more and more people seem to be prepared to speak to Vladimir Putin. There were Victory Day celebrations last month in Moscow that were attended by far more world leaders, in fact, gradually more world leaders with every passing year. Almost nobody attended in the year after the invasion. And now you saw European leaders, Latin American leaders, as well as as you would expect Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un to be there too. Does it feel like more people are willing to speak to Putin, that perhaps that sort of freezing of relations is beginning to thaw?
No, it doesn't. If we look at the people who were there on the Victory Day celebrations, it was actually the normal suspects. There was none of those from the West. I don't think even Viktor Orban didn't dare to go. So the people that attended were people that would be assumed to be allies of Putin.
There were people there, though, who hadn't attended in the 2 years previous. They felt, for whatever reason, emboldened to go this year. And Pope Leo clearly feels emboldened to have a conversation with him in the way that Pope Francis didn't.
Yeah, I think there's two separate things. I would say that we are hearing far more promising noises coming from the current Pope than we did from the last Pope when it comes to Ukraine. Now, I haven't heard any readout from what the conversation between Pope Leo and Putin today was. I would be hugely encouraged by that. I believe everything that I have seen, that Pope Leo is on the correct side. But for the other people who you talk about attending, we effectively have a axis of evil which is made up of China, North Korea, Iran, with Russia very clearly as a junior partner to China in that axis. Now, around the world, there are many other autocracies which are at best described as standing on the fence and maybe willing to fall in on the side of what I have called, and I'm not the first one to call it, an axis of evil. So the fact that there may have been more other world leaders attending the recent Victory Day celebrations in Red Square, I don't think we should read anything too much into that. We will see that they are all of an autocratic bent. But on the discussion with Pope Leo, I would be encouraged, because any of his initial pronouncements on Ukraine have been extremely encouraging and far more encouraging than his predecessor.
Okay, Cormac Smith, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it. Cormac Smith, former special advisor to Ukraine's foreign minister, with us on Times Radio.